Reea. I'm a life and relationship coach, an intuitive empath, and a hypnotherapist, and I do videos on dating, love and relationships, narcissism, childhood trauma, and metaphysics and spirituality. This video is the red flags that you need to look out for when you first start dating someone. How can you suss them out right at the beginning in those first few dates to find out whether you're giving your time and energy to a loser or not? If you enjoy this topic, don't forget to help me out by liking the video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to my channel for more. These are red flags. They are things that you might want to look out for if you've had a string of bad relationships behind you and you want to make sure that you're choosing the right person for you to be with. It is hard to break up. It causes pain and grief and suffering. No one does it easily. And if you've had a number of breakups and your heart's a little bit wounded, maybe you want to be a little bit more careful next time. Now, there are many of these red flags that are definitely not deal breakers. You wouldn't end a relationship because of them, but they do indicate maybe a bit of an issue that you need to take note of. And only you know the pattern of your relationships, what's happened in the past, what you like and what you don't like in a relationship, what your deal breakers are, what you can handle and what you can't handle. So these are just some things that you may want to be aware of as you begin to date somebody new. Okay, red flag number 1. They run their exes down and call them crazy. Now, you're probably not going to ask questions about their exes on a first date, but by a second or third date, it's pretty normal to have exchanged some information about your past dating history, mating history. If they are calling their exes names, you can be pretty sure that that will be you one day. Not good form. Get out of there quick. Red flag number 2 for me as a woman is that they're a deadbeat dad. In the very first date with someone, you can ask them if they have any kids. And then pretty easily, without much trouble, ask them how often do they see their kids. If they don't see their kids at all, and they have a story that goes something like, yeah, my ex-wife's crazy and she's a bitch and she won't let me see my kids, do not believe their story. In fact, it's a good rule of thumb never to believe stories at the beginning of relationship or when you first start dating someone, because everyone's going to try and put themselves forward in the best light, and they may not be completely honest or tell you the truth. If someone has children and they're not seeing them, that's a big no-no for me. How about you? I'd like to hear from you. Why don't you comment to me about that? Leave a comment below. Red flag number 3, they don't have a job or a car, and even worse, they are still living at home with mummy. No. Now, I understand there's a bit of an age thing that comes into play here. If you're watching this video and you are under 25, then it may be okay for your potential date to be still living at home with their parents, but it is not okay for them to not have a car and not have a job, even at 25. So you've got to use a little bit of discernment here. Obviously, those kind of things tell you a lot about a person's capacity to be responsible and reliable and work. Red flag number 4, nothing is ever their fault and they don't apologise for their bad behaviour. Maybe in the first few dates it will be hard to work that one out. Everyone is on their best behaviour at the beginning. We're all trying to be our best selves. That's normal. But maybe you can tell from their stories that they tell you about their life, and when you're talking to them, that they're not big on taking responsibility for the things that they do. Certainly by the time you've been together long enough to have had your first tiff, you're probably going to find that out. And if that doesn't turn out well and they're not prepared to take responsibility for their bad behaviour, then you need to seriously think about the relationship. It may not mean that you're going to stop dating them, but you're certainly going to be a little bit wary and have your eyes open. Red flag number 5, they have temper tantrums. Probably the easiest way to see that is road rage. If you are in the car with someone and they go into full-on road rage, and I don't mean just like, I don't know, swearing at somebody in the traffic. Maybe everybody does that on some bad days. But if they go into full-on road rage, big red flag. Red flag number 6, they don't have any friends. Don't jump to conclusions, but what does it say about someone that they have no friends? They could be an introvert. Maybe that won't suit you. They could have really bad social skills. Maybe that won't suit you either. They may spend most of their time alone. And what does that say about them? So just be a little bit careful with that one. It's not necessarily a really, really bad thing. Some people are just unlucky. Maybe they've just moved into the area and that's why they don't have any friends. But it would certainly raise a red flag with me. Red flag number 7, they don't have a good relationship with their family. Now, families can be difficult. We could come from dysfunctional families and, you know, it's not necessarily the wrong thing to do to go no contact with your family if they're really, really dysfunctional, okay? But it would raise a red flag if they don't have a good relationship with their family. It would be something that you want to find out something more about later on or as you go forward in the relationship. Next red flag, you don't like their friends. You know, there are old sayings like birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, that's it. You lay down with dogs, you catch fleas. There's a whole bunch of those sayings in our Australian culture, and they're there for a reason. You'll usually like your friends. You have things in common with them, right? That's why they're your friends. So if you don't like their friends, that could be a bit of a red flag. Red flag number 9, they get upset or needy when you want to hang out with your friends or go out with your girlfriends or boyfriends if you're a guy watching this. Okay, so that could tell you that someone's really, really needy. Maybe they're jealous. The worst thing to have in a relationship is someone who's jealous. It can drive you crazy. So be careful of that one. Next one, number 10, they ask invasive questions about your finances. Or maybe they're just asking too many questions. But, you know, why do they need to know that at the beginning of a relationship? As I said before, you'd want to know that, you like to know that someone's got somewhere to live, that they own a car and they have a job. That's not asking questions about their finances. Asking questions about their finances is actually asking them how much money they have or how much superannuation they have. I once had a guy tell me how much superannuation he had on the very first date without me even asking him. That was a little tragic. Red flag number 11, they keep your relationship with them a secret. So if you find out that they haven't told their friends or family that they're dating you, by the time you've been out with them maybe half a dozen times, that's a red flag. Red flag number 12 for me is another one for you mums out there. They criticize or have strong opinions about your children and how you are parenting them. It's none of their business. If someone is not living with you, I don't care how long they've been going out with you, they need to keep their opinions to themselves. You know, it amazes me that even people who don't have children have strong opinions on child rearing. But honestly, until you've done it, you really, really should keep your mouth shut as far as I'm concerned. Next, number 13, and this is a biggie. This is really, really important. They can't show empathy or comfort you in times of need. You do not want to be in a committed long-term relationship with someone who has no empathy. It will seriously affect your ability to stay together and bond with each other. So empathy is a big one. If they have no empathy, I'd say run 100 miles away quickly in the opposite direction. How do you work out if they've got empathy or not? Well, I guess it's a feeling. Do you feel comforted Mind you, some narcissists can put on a really good active empathy. Narcissists have what we call cold empathy. In other words, they can tell what it is that you're feeling. So say you were feeling sad. They could tell that you were feeling sad. They could probably articulate that, and they may even be able to act the way they should act if you were sad at the beginning of the relationship when they're trying to hook you in. So it really is something that you've got to watch for over a period of time to see whether they have not just cold empathy, but warm empathy. They actually know what to do to comfort another human being. Number 14, they're rude to people in shops or put down service workers or the waitress in the restaurant. This can be an indicator of narcissism, so it raises a red flag. It's something you're just going to want to watch out for in the future. Number 15, they don't show any interest in what is important to you. You know, this is a biggie for me. You know, you go out with those people who they just want to talk about themselves all the time and they never ask you a question about yourself, or you could be talking about yourself and you get the impression they're not really listening, they're just waiting for you to stop talking so they can start talking about themselves again. That's not being able to show an interest in somebody else, and it can be an indicator of narcissism, or maybe they're just a jerk. Next one is they have a history of alcohol or drug abuse. We all have different levels of tolerance to this depending on the function of the family that we've come from. Personally, I like to go out with someone who will have a glass of wine with me or a drink, but if you have alcohol abuse in your family, maybe that's going to be a big red flag for you. Next one, they are moody. Okay, moody means that they do not take responsibility for their own feelings and they don't know how to control themselves. There's a lot of grumpy old men out there, and it really is a syndrome. I call it grumpy old man syndrome. So if you're a mature woman and you're watching this, be really careful of that, but it's also an issue with a young person too. If they have uncontrollable bouts of anger, or you see them one day and they're depressed, and the next day they're up, and the next day they're down, and they're up and down and up and down, that can be an indicator of a lot of things. It could be an indicator of mental illness. It could be an indicator of bipolar disorder, or it could just be an indicator of someone that's not going to be a lot of fun to be with because you're going to have to put up with those bad moods. 18 is they invade your boundaries. You need to have healthy boundaries in a relationship if it's going to work. And you need to know what boundaries are, so I suggest that you do some research and find out what having healthy boundaries is all about, or you check out my video on healthy boundaries. Number 19, they lie. Oops. Everyone tells little white lies, but if you catch them out in a big black lie, big red flag. If someone is prepared to lie to you in the early parts of the relationship, then they're probably a liar. Number 20 is they say, I always get what I want, da-da-da-da. Indicator of a psychopath or narcissist, so be very careful. Number 21, they have a sense of entitlement, are arrogant and grandiose. In Australia, we'd say they're up themselves, they've got a really big head, or they think their shit doesn't stink. Be really careful. Indicator of a narcissist, and you do not want to be in a relationship with a narcissist. Number 22, they don't accept no. It's a really good idea to say no without justifying, without defending or doing anything else, but just saying no to someone early on in the relationship to find out how they react. If they will not accept your no, and you get this sixth sense in your stomach that they're really upset by you saying no to them, then listen to your gut. Perhaps they are a narcissist, and if so, walk quickly in the other direction. If you say no to them and they keep trying to maneuver you into saying yes, you know, keep working on you, also another bad sign, so be careful of that one. Number 23, they may be passionate and great in bed in the beginning and then don't want to have sex with you. Having a compatible sex life and being equal in your libido is really important in a relationship. So just be careful of that one. Number 24, they're cruel to animals. Oh my God, seriously? If you see anyone being cruel to animals, definitely run in the other direction. This is a huge red flag because that could be an indicator that you are with a psychopath. Cruelty to animals is a big one. Number 24, they tell you they love you in less than a month, or even worse, less than a week. Yeah, something's not quite right there. Be careful of that one. Number 25, they want to be with you all the time, or they move in too quickly. I know this is something that young people do. They start hanging out together. They have sleepovers really early in the relationship. Nothing wrong with that. But before you know it, the other person has moved in and they're staying at your place every night. Be really, really careful. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear from you. I answer all comments, so please leave me a comment below. Don't forget, before you leave, to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Please share this video with anyone that you think it might be helpful to.